Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Agency Operators Podcast. Today I'm joined by Mari-Liis Vaher of Powerful Marketers. How are you doing, Mari-Liis?
Very good. Hi, and thank you for having me, Pasha.
Of course. Thank you for joining. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Likewise.
So, community building, so important, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's instinctual, primitive almost thing, right? In all humans, where like we like to become tribe members of with people that kind of share the same intentions, interests, and I think it's helped me tremendously in my career as a marketer to grow and to make connections, and through partnerships, I found a lot of value just to learn and to open opportunities that weren't always available. So that's what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about today a little bit. I also want to talk to you about your book. I understand that you have a book out about all of this. So before we dive into all of this, I just wanted to ask kind of like what got you interested in building community, becoming a marketer, opening your consultancy?
Whoa, a lot of questions. but well, for over 20 years in marketing, I have learned to solve one problem. What I see is huge out there. There's the fact that 70% of CEOs don't trust marketing because they just can't see how marketing delivers business growth. And at the same time, 75% of marketers are burning out. So because they are, doing so many things simultaneously and like hamsters in a wheel, going crazy pretty much. And my mission is now to help them not to go crazy and to align, what they do in marketing with business growth. And I see that it's a very global problem. So working with in different countries, I see the same problem all over again. And I thought, why not just bring those people together so that they could share experience, support each other. So that was the main reason, I would say.
So it's kind of to bring the humanity back into marketing because if it
Mhm.
feels like a cold thing, right? Oh, nobody wants to be marketed to, nobody wants to be sold to.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
so right. So building a community is no longer, it's not just nice to have like project, right? It's the, I would say, modern economy and even a strategic asset today, because the more AI and automations and everything comes, the more we seek for genuine human connection.
Yep.
Let's be honest. We all feel that the same way, right? So, and even if people come for your business because of your uh, content or because of your product or the service you provide, they still stay for the people, right? So same happens in the community, but there are so many like benefits in having your own community, really. So
I agree. It seems like right now with AI, hiring has become very difficult for this reason, what you're talking about. Because you say
mhm.
to yourself, like, for example, like if you're hiring a developer, like one of the most technical roles that there can be, I how do you pick which developer is good or not if everybody's using the same tools, AI?
Yep.
You don't need to be a coder like the way like learning these languages is not
Mhm.
a requirement. So for almost every single industry, you start to value different things because information and knowledge and intelligence has become so cheap and available. So you start
Mhm.
to value other things like emotional intelligence and just more importantly, the human connection. And
Mhm.
if you're faced with choosing from 10 different companies who all are offering roughly the same service for the same price, how do you make a decision? The one that you connect with the most, the one you like the most, right? Because
Exactly.
what else do you have?
You are so right. Well, I just discussed actually this morning with somebody from our community about how sales has been involved, right? Sales is a big part of marketing, and we always, need to align these two. And we discussed pretty much the same thing because we discussed um, how to do a cold outreach when you are a sales guy, and it's pretty hard nowadays because no one answers the phone. uh, Nobody wants to get your messages on LinkedIn any longer because it's overwhelmed already. It's pretty much like Facebook already. So how do you actually reach out to those people? It's so hard. So that's why you go to from one networking event to another, from one community to another. You're just building relationships, over time. People get to know you, like you, trust you. Of course, it's, long term, but still, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's very much the long game.
Hmm.
It's almost sad to see the old days go away, right? When before you can just send a cold email and someone's like, "Oh, I'd love to try your service," right?
Yeah,
Those days are so long gone. I don't know anybody
they are.
who's
You're
successful.
right. And by the way, I had a really good feedback from somebody from the Nordic countries, who started last year. They started to send out those physical postcards
Hmm.
for the as a cold outreach, and they got really good engagement. And I think it's because no one gets like physical letters nowadays. So that was, you just need to be creative yourself, or find ways, of course.
The
But yeah.
mailbox has a 100% open rate, right? That's the
Yeah.
only one.
Yeah, very good.
So yeah, I've seen that work as well. It's funny how we just kind of go back. Like history has a way of just repeating, like
Exactly.
technology, and
We
to
are
me,
going back.
we are going back because you're going to the things which are real. When
Hmm.
information is so abundant and you don't know what's real or not on the internet anymore. So
That's true.
trade shows, like you said, shaking hands with people. I've gotten more into that just because that's what I've seen to be working better than even Google Meet. Sometimes it's not enough because you meet with so many people,
Hmm.
right? So there's just trying to cut through the noise.
And it's even not just noise anymore. It's even I see a very big, like, a trust issue, because anybody can build a very beautiful website, and and you can build a very beautiful client service, like AI team on the back of it, right? So we just don't know who can we actually trust nowadays. So think of yourself. How do you act? You, even if you Google out somebody, or you find some products or services which are maybe interesting, you probably do a lot of research, right? You seek for the social proof, or you ask for a friend, have you heard about this or that, before you are doing your next move. So our clients are the same. Everybody feel like, oh my God, I don't know who can I trust really, and where should I go when I have this, or other questions, or issues. So it's a big trust issue nowadays, I think.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
There's like even just personally, I'm doing some work at the house, like construction wise,
Hmm.
and there's something refreshing about taking it like very old school because I'm so used to all this AI stuff. And I'm finding my contacts, like you go into the local hardware store and there's a
Uh-huh.
bulletin board, and everybody puts their business cards with a pin. And so I'm taking pictures of these business cards and just inviting people over for quotes and just seeing who I connect with. And there's something refreshing about that because like even these days, like when nobody even has business cards anymore, you just have everyone
Yeah,
emails. And
yeah.
so yeah,
That's
taking it back is great. Tell me a little bit about your book. I'm really curious to hear, like, what is the book about? Who is it for?
Yeah, well, happy to do that. Thank you. So, for years, I have watched this, I would even say, a tragedy unfold in the industry, where we see brilliant marketers, burning out by the thousands, about 75% of them actually, while business owners felt like, they were throwing money into a black hole because they couldn't see the ROI, right?
Hmm.
So I wrote The Greatest Marketer to end that cycle of frustration, if I may say. So the book really provides a truly systematic 5-step roadmap that moves readers from the firefighting to disciplined systems, where you can align marketing, sales, client service with your business growth. So the outcome is not just better ads, yeah, right? It is really the alignment and building that uh, internally and externally, and making sure that all the teams are going after the same goals. So yeah, we
Where
often
does
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, where does it all begin? Like that entire process, because everyone is at a different stage. Is there like
Well,
a blanket
mhm.
approach to it, or just it depends?
No, there is a very specific approach because what I wanted to add is that we often assume that to grow, we need to do more AI, more posts, more ads. But the bridge to success is actually about doing less of the wrong things, right? So, and I really want to challenge everybody who are listening right now, us. So ask yourself, what are we doing today simply because we have always done it, right? This is where the transformation really begins, at the point where you decide to stop the noise and start the alignment. But it is hard, let's be honest. So, and that's why my book starts. The first step is mindset. And people often ask me, come on, why do you talk about mindset in the marketing book, right? But think about when you're on a plane. They always say that in case of threat, put your own oxygen mask on first, and then you can help others. Right? It's same here. You must first help yourself and build your strengths so that your emotions and egos do not interfere. Because then you can help your business and your marketing. Because if you're anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, you won't make sound decisions for your business or take effective action because busyness beats the brain always. So this is where I talk about how rest is a strategy for you, and you should really apply those those moments for yourself where you can feel grounded and you can strategize and you can actually take some time to think, right? So this is where we start, and then we can start building on top of that.
I think there's so many aspects that are overlooked when it comes to business, which are so tied into our personal health, mental health,
Mhm.
personal physical health, family
Mhm.
life, right?
Yep,
All of those things are affecting our mindset
of
and
course.
help us to drive things forward. And we don't think about it like, especially if you have a team and you're responsible for payrolls and you're
Hmm.
responsible for businesses that are growing. And there's a lot that kind of comes with that. It's a responsibility. So you owe it to everybody around you, to all these relations to take care of yourself, right? And if you're not doing
Hmm.
that, then how can you? And so I agree that's probably the ideal starting point. And the way that you
Hmm.
drive it from there, right? Like with the systems, and like, do you have things that you can lean on in moments of weakness? Because we can't expect ourselves also to be perfect all the time. Like, sometimes like discipline can be difficult, or life situations happen that throw us off. Do we have systems that we can lean on to rest for a moment so things don't
Hmm.
collapse if we start to collapse?
Yeah, 100%. I do agree with you. So when the mindset gives you this stability, right, then the next step in my book is not yet systems, it's a strategy, because this is something that gives you direction, right? So the organizational clarity is something that we don't talk too much. But the example I use also in my book is if you think of marketing like a road trip, and if you usually you use Google Maps or Waze, right? And if you miss a turn, the app doesn't blame you. It simply recalculates the road
Mhm.
for you. It can only do this because it knows exactly where point B is, right? But most teams are just driving without a destination, right? When a campaign fails, they cannot recalculate because they never agreed on what success maybe looks like for for them. So they aren't on a path. They're just maybe in a car, wasting fuel and getting frustrated, right? And why this happens, I see often, is we avoid setting clear goals because clarity is not there for ourselves, right? As soon as you are clear about who do you serve, what's in it for them, it really creates this accountability, and um, and it's easier to make any decision then, right? I'm sure that you can relate to that as a business owner.
Absolutely, yeah. And to be entirely honest, these are things that I'm sometimes struggling with, or having to kind of move around. The goalpost is always moving around. and the depth of those goals can vary. So it's not just about, like, for example, we take on a client for Amazon management because that's what we do, and so we say, all right, these are the KPIs that we're trying to hit as a team, but every individual person should also have some goals, like in terms of like
Yeah.
benchmark for performance. And it's not that we're going to hold every single person accountable or fire anybody, but it's nice
Hmm.
to know. And even as like as a high performing person, it's nice to know, oh, I'm hitting these goals like nothing, like let's up it, like in order to challenge yourself, in order to help you to grow. And you can set that for anything, even like kind of going back into like your health, right, in sport or in any
Yeah.
other. You can put like, this is the challenge that I've experienced as an entrepreneur, is to try to quantify things with data, things that I normally would not quantify, like relationships or even
Yeah.
agency. It's very much a people's based business, and I like to maintain friendly conversations with the people who I work with because it's nice and it's a human thing to do. But there is like on the other side, like, yeah, like we do need to have metrics tied to our performance because we're a business as well. So the balance of the two things has been challenging for me.
And it is because we are all human beings. It's always easier to stay busy than to be clear,
Yeah.
right? It's very hard to be. I oftentimes I see people, they are afraid of narrowing down the focus in sales and marketing because they feel like they're missing some business then, right?
Hmm.
But you know that in marketing, when you try to sell everybody, you end up, selling to nobody really, because they just can't relate to what are you like doing or offering to them. So I understand, it's we are just human beings, everybody. So that's normal. And usually I see the like there are three, I don't know, marketing headaches, if I may say so. The main three reasons are, first of all, you cannot prove impact on sales, and this leads to this fear of being seen as a cost center, right? And
Hmm.
that needs a lot of clarity, on what is our goal and what are the things that we should use as our KPIs. And it's not easy conversation, and it doesn't come usually overnight. We need to just go very deep into what is it for our business really, right? The other thing that is, again, it's like a vicious cycle, I would say, because that all leads to the team is firefighting. We are creating content for the sake of it, but spinning in circles pretty much, right? And then the third, what is now there very strongly, is AI and new tools which create this data overload without any focus again, right? It's like a technological anxiety we're having. So
Interesting.
it's not easy.
Yeah, I've observed the same thing. I went to Las Vegas for a show in my industry. It's called the Prosper Show.
Hmm.
I noted a lot of different companies coming out. Everybody has AI in their name. It's probably the same across every industry.
Hmm.
Everywhere you go, it's like AI
Yep.
this and AI that. You can put AI in your toilet paper. You can put it wherever you want, right? And and the thing is, like, everybody's buying into it until you start to get disappointed realizing what's happening. What's happening is that these are kind of hollow systems that
Yeah.
are based around AI, but they don't actually do anything. Like, so you take a normal solution that would have existed, let's say 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and then you
Hmm.
add a chatbot that can communicate with that system,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
call it AI. That's not really AI.
Yeah,
And I think we're still kind of far from truly, like, people are using the word agentic. Like, this is all just marketing buzzwords. Like,
it
it
is. Hmm.
definitely this kind of anxiety and this race to get to a product that is usable to some extent, that's not broken. It can provide some value, but still it's mostly just things that give you information. And what people really need is, like you said, the clarity is very important, simplicity,
Hmm.
ease of use, and direction, right? So
Yeah.
if you have a tool that uses AI, but then there's a button that says, do it for me, and then you click the button and it actually does it for you and makes you money, that's valuable. But
Hmm.
99% of the tools, they just give you the data and they say, okay, do with it what you want. And so that's not really a solution for me. That's just, okay, it's just a
Yeah.
chat.
That, you're right. And the way I see AI is that I see right now it's here to give us back our time, not to replace our thinking, right? Because many people just go to, I don't know, Gemini or ChatGPT, and they ask like, what should I do with my business or something, right? You should never ask that. You should rather ask, how can I execute this specific strategy more efficiently, maybe, right?
Mhm.
Because you can train it to be your intern, not your CEO, right? So, but if you use it to bypass the discomfort of clarity and strategy, you will fail, right? Because if you use it to scale, the clarity, you become, I would say, maybe unstoppable,
Mhm.
compared to your competitors.
Yeah, I agree. We can't be mistaken to let AI become a decision maker for us.
Exactly. That's the
Also,
biggest thing I see.
I think
Hmm.
people they get so excited when they receive that clarity from AI because it has more awareness maybe of information or circumstance, and so they're like, oh well, you can decide for me. Like, what should I do here? Oh, you should probably do. And the other thing is like the AI is confident when it speaks. It has like this almost like conviction, right, with it, even though it can be wrong, but there's no consequence because it's just a bot at the end of the day.
He's always cheering on you.
Yeah.
It
Oh, that's a
drives me
great.
crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
I hate that.
I don't like the emojis
Yeah,
inside
same
of it.
here.
I think that's a bad move for them to do that, trying to make it more human-like. It's
What I
anyway.
usually do, I tell it that do not agree with me, just argue with me, and I want to see,
Yeah,
the other side of it as well. And it's pretty interesting exercise, actually.
yeah, because it's designed really for ideation, so it should
Yeah, exactly.
pull ideas back and forth and get to something that both sides are in agreement with.
I feel oftentimes it's like a loyal dog, who wants to please you all the time. And like, yeah. And I'm like,
Exactly.
come on, I don't need you for that. So,
Uh, Last thing I wanted to ask about the community.
yep.
So, what is the community about? How do people like? Do you get together virtually, in person? Like, speak a little to that.
Of course. Yeah. Well, if I may, before the community, I will just very briefly talk about, we had mindset, then there is strategy we talk about, but then we come to the systems, which you mentioned. I just didn't
Hmm.
want to lose that, right? Because we do help people to implement systems that will help them work smarter, not harder. And then we help them to communicate and lead marketing projects. So these are the 5 steps I'm covering in my book. So if the book is this, let's say, the roadmap, then hub is for the implementing things. So this is where people come together, they support each other, we network a lot, we have virtual meetups, we have in-person meetups, and we also like have challenges. We, for example, we start next implementation challenge at the end of March, in 1 week actually. And this is where people come with a specific goal in marketing, and we pair them up with an accountability partner and make sure that he or she can actually make it happen, right? Because oftentimes, especially when you're alone, in the business, it's you just need that accountability sometimes, and just a little nudge from others. So this is what we do. And of course we have trainings ongoing, but I think the biggest value even is we have the make it happen spaces, meaning that there is like a LinkedIn room and AI room and website room where people can discuss topic related questions, struggles, headaches, and this is where community comes and helps you. They're like, oh, I had this struggle and I use this tool, or go and check this out. So they already help each other. This is something that we really love to see happening in real life. So we just want those marketers not to burn out. We want them to have this safe place where they can feel supported. And yourself as a marketer, you have so much information out there, too much, but it's really hard to decide, which information I should use for my business, right? So, and this is like your marketing, extended marketing team, what we are building.
So cool. And if somebody wants to get their hands, let's start with the book. Get their hands on the book. Amazon, your website.
Yes, just go to the website, thegreatestmarketer.com. All the information is there. So the Amazon link, also the hub information, and you can grab a lot of free tools there related to the book. So thegreatestmarketer.com is the best place to find all the information.
Amazing. I really love this conversation. There's a lot of takeaways. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of your book.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been great discussing with you those things, and yeah, take good care. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you as well. Thank you, Mari-Liis. Catch you on the
Thank
next
you.
one. Thanks for
Take care.
everyone for listening. Bye.